You didn't react to them. You reacted to the meaning you gave it. They didn't disrespect you. They just said words. You heard them and added the meaning yourself. Then you reacted, not to what they said, but to what it meant to you. They didn't ignore you. They just got quiet. You called it rejection, then reacted to the pain you assigned to it. That's the problem. You think you're reacting to them, but really, you're reacting to the frame you carry. Because no one controls your behavior. Your interpretation does. And interpretation is just a habit with an old emotional label on it. You don't overreact because of what happened. You overreact because your brain told you what it meant before you could question it. That's not clarity. That's automation. You think you're standing up for yourself. But really, you're defending a story you didn't even write. They never had to push your button. You were already programmed, and now you run the same scene over and over, calling it you. But it's not you. It's the frame. And until you change that frame, your reaction won't change, even if the world does. Let's break it open. You don't react to reality. You react to the frame. They said something. You felt attacked. But pause. Did they really disrespect you? Or did your mind assign that meaning? You don't react to what happened. You react to what you think it means. And that meaning didn't come from the moment. It came from history, from memory, from wiring. Someone went silent. You called it rejection. Someone disagreed. You called it disrespect. Someone forgot. You called it betrayal. But the world didn't say any of that. Your frame did. Because the brain doesn't just observe events. It wraps them in meaning based on old pain. Not what's present, what's familiar. And that's why your reactions feel so justified, so emotional, so fast. You think you're being disrespected now, but you're really reacting to something unhealed from years ago. The tone matches, the pause feels familiar, and your system fills in the blanks before the moment even has a chance to land. That's what a frame does. It tells you what to expect, then delivers the same emotion no matter the facts. So you lash out, pull back, over-explain. Not because the moment requires it, but because the frame demands it. And if you don't question the frame, you keep living in a story your nervous system wrote when you were still in survival mode. You don't need to overanalyze emotions. You need to interrupt the meaning machine behind them. Because every time you change the frame, you change the chemistry. The emotion softens, the system resets, and suddenly, you have options. This is the shift. Stop fixing reactions. Start disarming the frame that triggered them. Because until the lens changes, your behavior stays on autopilot. Let's learn how to spot that autopilot next. Signs. You're reacting from the frame, not the moment. You think you're reacting to the situation, but really, you're reacting to the story you've always used to survive situations like this. Here's how you know you're not in the moment. You're in the frame. 1. You feel triggered, but can't explain why. The words weren't aggressive, the tone wasn't hostile, but something inside you flinched. That's not them. That's your system remembering how this scene usually ends. 2. You start defending before anything's been attacked. You over-explain, over-justify. Try to clear the air even when no one's confused but you. You're not clarifying the moment. You're fighting the ghost of being misunderstood before. 3. You feel urgency when no action is actually needed. You want to reply fast, fix fast, explain fast. Not because the moment demands speed, but because your old self panics in stillness. 4. You assign intention without evidence. They cancel. You say, they don't respect me. They pause. You say, they're judging me. They say, not now. You hear, never. None of that was said, but the frame delivered the message before your mind had a chance to listen. 5. Your response feels familiar, but not authentic. You hear yourself say it. You watch it happen. Again, the same reply, the same reaction. Then something pauses. This isn't how I wanted to show up. But by then, the code had already run. That's not choice. That's code. Reactivity isn't weakness. It's just automation built from pain that was never reframed. Until you pause the frame, you can't change the outcome. You'll keep calling it you when it's really just memory with a trigger. Let's learn how to reframe next. Reframing isn't delusion, it's design. They told you to think positive, to just let it go, to see the bright side. But that's not reframing, that's denial. Cosmetic, surface-level mindset work. Real reframing doesn't ignore reality. It repositions you inside it. Not to avoid the pain, but to take back control of how your system processes signal. You don't change what happened. You change where you stand when it happens again. Reframing is not emotional makeup. It's architectural. It rebuilds your frame so you stop reacting from the version of you that needed defense instead of direction. The goal isn't to feel better. It's to feel clearer. Because clarity isn't passive. It's constructed. Here's what that looks like. They criticize you. Your old frame hears, I'm not enough. But you step back and reframe. This is data, not identity. They cancel plans. Your old frame hears, I don't matter. But the new lens says, people's capacity isn't a reflection of my worth. They pull away. The old frame hears abandonment. The new one says, this isn't mine to chase. That's not delusion. That's design. Choosing how your inner world receives input so your outer behavior stays intentional. Because without reframing, you're just reacting from emotional gravity. With it, you move from structure. You hold position. You respond as architect, not echo. And now, we make it tactical. Let's break down how cold reframing works, step by step. Cold Reframing System. 3 tactical steps to reset the frame. Reframing isn't a mindset trick. It's a neurological redirect. You're not just changing how you think. You're changing how your system interprets threat. Here's how cold mind reframes. No emotion, just structure. 1. Catch the assigned meaning. Before you react, pause. Ask, what meaning did I just assign to this? Not, how do I feel? But, what story did I just launch into? They canceled on you. What did you decide that meant? They don't care. They're avoiding me? Because that meaning is the root of the reaction. If you don't catch it, you'll respond to the story, not the event. Reframing starts by exposing the narrative before your nervous system turns it into behavior. 2. Disown the frame. Now ask, where did I learn to frame it that way? From childhood? Past rejection? Old trauma? Is this your logic? Or just leftover wiring you never updated? You don't need to fight the frame. You just need to see that it's not yours anymore. The moment you realize it's inherited, you can drop it. No debate. No emotional negotiation. Just disown it. 3. Choose the lens. Then respond. Now, rebuild. Ask, if I wasn't wounded, how would I see this? Not how would you feel better. How would you see it cleanly? What's neutral here? What's true without attachment? What would a high-signal version of you do right now? This is reframing without fantasy. No sugar, just clarity. You're not rewriting truth. You're repositioning your nervous system to hold the moment without collapsing. And then, from that position of stillness, you act. One move, not to prove, not to fix, just to respond. That's cold reframing. Catch the meaning, disown the story, choose the lens, then respond. You don't avoid conflict. You redefine it. You don't silence emotion. You separate it from reaction. Because the moment you master the frame, you master your response. And that's how cold mind leads. Final message: master the frame, or be ruled by the story. You've seen it before. Someone gets insulted. They don't flinch. Someone gets ignored. They don't chase. Someone's tested. They don't react. They pause. They reframe. Then they respond. And the response? Always clean. Always calm. Always precise. They're not unfeeling. They're unhooked. Not because they were born that way, but because they trained to see the moment without projecting old stories into it. They don't waste energy correcting perception. They shift their position inside the moment, then move. No emotional debt. No nervous system spill. No loyalty to old reactions that never served them. That's what makes them powerful. Because while everyone else is reacting to assumptions, they're reframing the system. And the person who owns the frame owns the room. You don't need to argue. You don't need to correct. You just need to reset the meaning engine. From there, clarity becomes default. In the next video, we'll explore the strategic no. How to say no without guilt, explanation, or emotional residue. Not to reject others, but to preserve frame. Subscribe. Don't defend, reframe. Then respond. On your terms.